I'm in love with this title, by the way. What if you could breathe in healing? It's like, it's one of those things that's like at the tip of your nose, something that when you say it, it's like, yeah, it's so simple, but it's not something that you often hear organized in that way. And I really love it. And I want to know what does that mean to you, and how did you come up with that?
That is a great question. I feel like it really just came to me, right? To one, first, when we acknowledge our breath, right, it allows us to be in this present moment. It allows us to be with what is. And I think that's oftentimes, that is the reason why the breath comes into spiritual practice, right? Because it brings us into the present moment. I just have this vision of everyone embodying their birthright of wellness and well-being. It's just going to be a way of life, a way of breathing, a way of being, who we're like created to be, who we're designed to be. And so it can be as simple as breathing when we allow ourselves to come into that embodiment, and we just get the things that are in the way out of it.
Yeah. So many things coming to mind, but I'm currently dealing with a shoulder situation. And it's been painful. Like, I'm not exactly sure what happened. And I went to a physical therapist recently, and that has helped, but hasn't provided any answers. But breathing and being present with the breath, because we breathe all the time, and we're unconsciously breathing because the body breathes. But something really magical happens when we put attention on that breath, and then we combine this visual guidance of the breath to a particular area. And then, I don't know if, I'm sure you've done like breath cleansing meditations where you're using the breath as a cleansing mechanism, and you really can feel the difference, or I have experienced that.
Yeah, absolutely. There's something that is just so innate inside of us it's connected to our breathing. And I love that you're also into psychology. What really struck me in my, while I was studying for my spiritual psychology master's degree, was learning about what the word psyche meant, meaning soul or breath of life. And it's just so fascinating. It's like when we connect in with our breath, we're connecting in with our life force. And there's such a power in just bringing our consciousness to that space. And I would be curious about, this shoulder thing, because when I work with my clients, it's really clear to me that there's messages, right? It's like your body is sending out a signal through pain. It'll send it out through other ways, through other symptoms. And in the same way of like connecting in with our breath, being present, we can intentionally go into those spaces to hear what those messages are. And I don't know if you've done any practices where you sit with pain and really just feel into it, you'll recognize that it's actually not pain at all.
Yeah. Well, funny you mention it. I love how when everything just starts coming together from all different avenues, like it still blows my mind, when it happens. But I'm co-hosting another podcast that's about to launch called My Inner Teacher with Peter Sterrius. He's the founder of Manduka, but he also wrote this book called Gravity and Grace, and he broke his back. And so he's got this whole way of teaching about going into the pain and softening and using the breath. And so just this morning, actually, I laid down with my back on the ground, and I had my arms in cactus, and it was so painful. And I was like, just like, relax, just sit with it, just soften, breathe. And so many emotions. And I mean, to be completely honest and vulnerable, what came up for me was like this lack of trust for myself, and how softening into that was allowing me to make space for trusting myself. It was like this whole experience, this whole journey. So Yeah, I literally just did that this morning
It's beautiful.
for the first time.
So synchronistic. That's amazing.
I know.
Yeah,
But tell me more about like how you work.
yeah, I mean, our symptoms can be such powerful teachers. And, in similar ways, I got into this because I was seeking my own answers. I was seeking my own healing, and seeking really like what the purpose of being here is. And the messages that came forward through this journey have just been so incredible. So the way that I work with people is really just assisting them. Like I'm just the facilitator. I just assist them in really activating their healing mode. And I know that's something that I had mentioned to you before. But really it's like the innate wisdom in our body heals us. And so to me, I relate to that as the healing mode. And when we don't have anything that's in the way of what the system is designed to do, when we get a cut, it heals naturally. Whereas, things are going to happen in our life. It's just really how we respond to them, and also our ability to respond to them in the way that we've nurtured ourselves, and prepared ourselves to be like in ownership and responsibility for our life. So for me, physical symptoms are incredible teachers. And sometimes, there's so many layers to a symptom, and peeling them away, is just such a profound journey. I think if so many people could just embrace that wisdom and be with what's going on in their body, they might find themselves just really finding deeper fulfillment on the other side of it, being undetached from what it's supposed to look like, but where they're being guided, through the unfolding of
Definitely.
it all. Yeah. So,
And there's this
go ahead. Okay.
Go ahead,
So
go
I was gonna get a little bit more into technique. So in my practice, whether I'm working with somebody in person or on at a distance, I'll use muscle response testing. And the doctor that I studied under discovered that muscle response testing was just the most direct way to communicate to the cells of the body. And one thing I've found in working with people is that what comes forward through muscle testing oftentimes just really mirrors that those cells were activated in a state where the sympathetic nervous system was activated. So your fight, flight, paralysis, people pleasing. It's like when somebody's been in one of those states, it's like the age in which we made a decision, and then we store that information in our body. So our brain sends memory through our entire body. And the way I perceive it is that's a subconscious, right? That's our cellular memory that we've stored in places, and the brain, has sent it in different places. And so we store it. And really the best way to access that information is through feeling and through intention of intentionally going into these areas to bring it forward. So, with muscle testing, I have a 10 priority system, and we just ask the body what it wants, what steps it wants to take first to enter a state of healing, the healing mode. And so those 10 priorities are structural, exercise and rest, nutritional, cleanse, emotional. We can go back to the age at which we made a decision about something. And usually it's like whenever I muscle test somebody and they identify that age, they're like, oh yeah, that's when this happened. Or it's almost like there's an instant remembrance of, oh yeah. And so then there's emotionally inherited traits, which are really fascinating to clear. when you get into things that you've been carrying your entire life that you didn't even know you were carrying, that you were feeling. And then once they're gone, it's like experiencing yourself in a whole new way. The chakra system, I work with the electrical body, spiritual priority, reactives, which is right and left brain integration. So
can we do a little, can we do like a, I don't want to say a mock but not a whole session. I can imagine that probably takes a while, but can you give us some examples?
Yeah. Do you want to test your,
like, can you do some
can we
muscle
test
testing?
your shoulder? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. All I need is your consent to test you. Yes.
You have my consent.
Beautiful. So I'm going to make some statements. So I'll let you see like my test here. This is a strong test and this will be a weak test.
And what does that mean? The strong versus the weak?
So when you are strong, it resonates. There's a truth. It's the same concept that the lie detector test was created from. Whereas when your body, your mind, your body doesn't recognize something, it goes weak for just a moment. So really it's what we're checking for is resonance. We're checking for a yes or a no.
Okay. So strong is yes and weak is no.
Yes, that's correct. Okay. So I think I'm testing Krystal. I feel I am. Yes. Optimal well-being in Krystal circuits. Yes. Circuits are in the clear. Yes. It's your right shoulder. Right shoulder in the circuits. Circuits are in the clear. Good. We're just going to go for priority. The priority is structural, exercise and rest. Exercise and rest is the first one. So this body wants more exercise. No, more rest. More rest for 1 day or more, 2 days or more, 3 days or more, 4 days or more, 5 days, for 4 days. So what does that look like? This is sleep. Yes. So how have you been sleeping? How's your sleep been?
Really good, but so many dreams. Just like super active dreams.
When you wake up, are you feeling rested?
Good. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It's like I feel like whoa, that was a lot. But also I'm not waking up feeling like I didn't get enough.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's just see. 6 hours. This body wants 6 hours or more, 7 hours or more, 8 hours. So 7 hours. 7 hours is good. Does body wants a nap? No. So
no, the body never wants a nap.
Yes, I get it. Your body likes to be active, even when you're sleeping. So yes. One thing I could suggest too is just setting intentions before you go to bed to just rest for the straight 7 hours. You don't have to process anything. Just allow yourself to rest. One thing I've found is bedtime intentions are incredibly powerful, especially if you're trying to resolve things, but also in just allowing yourself the time and space to rest, especially if things have been extremely busy in your waking life. Yeah. Okay. So let's see another priority. Exercise and rest is now in balance. Yes. I'm just going to go back through them again. Structural, exercise and rest, nutritional, cleanse. Which is interesting because sometimes in our, we have some glands and part of our lymphatic system comes back here. So cleanse for 1 day or more, 2 days or more, 3 days, for 2 days. This body wants liquids only. Have you ever done a cleanse?
No, but it's funny that as soon as you said cleanse, I started feeling like a nerve ding, ding,
That's
ding, ding, like a little pinging happening.
Yeah. So let me see. It's a blood and tissue cleanse. No. Colon cleanse. No. Lymphatic cleanse. So there you go. So the lymphatic system, right, which is fascinating to me. We have twice the amount of lymph fluid in our body than we do blood. And so sometimes, that whole system helps with filtering our blood and keeping it clean. Sometimes, if some of the glands get a little stuck or sticky, they can just create a whole backup. But how beautiful that this information's coming forward. So one thing I would test is like carrot juice, cucumber juice, celery juice. So those three, I would just do equal parts, 32 ounces or more, 40 ounces or more, 42 ounces or more, 43. So 42 ounces for day 1 and day 2. And then water. The biggest thing is you're just flushing out your system. So water is 100 ounces or more, 110 ounces, 105 ounces, 105 day 1 and day 2. This body wants another fluid. Yes. Lemon water. Yes. 1 cup or more, 2 cups or more. So 1 cup in the morning. Yes. There's something else. No. So that's it. Pretty straightforward. I don't know if you want to write this down.
I've got it. I mean, it sounds really delicious. The cucumber, carrot, celery, lemon, love all those things. No, totally just drink the carrot. It's really like drawing me in right now. And it's funny that you mentioned the lymph because that's my favorite kind of massage. I feel like I almost like I need it. Don't know why. And I often, like when I'm doing my face, I like to go into the different areas and, where all the lymph is to drain it.
Yeah.
So yes, I'm resonating with what you're saying.
Beautiful. There's also those exercises too, where you can like pat the different parts of like where your lymph fluid is, like even like the back of the neck.
Okay.
And then come under here, especially if this is where you're sore. And you go in between your thighs as well. Just doing that for like a minute a day just to help get everything moving. I find it really energizing to do. So
I'm going to do that. And how are you doing the detector? Is this intuition that you built up or do you have some psychic ability? How does it work?
So this is definitely, I think, a gift that I was shown and then that I've really spent years developing and practicing. What I truly believe is everybody can muscle test, just like everyone has intuition. We all have the ability to direct our mind to just focus our energy specifically on that thing. And it's really interesting. I am the only one that has learned from her name is Dr. Valerie, that seems to really just be taking this practice forward. And I recently she's in her 90s and she just gave me her blessing to take all of her materials and do what I feel called to do. But I think it's such a fascinating time because I know many people that are, they self-muscle test or if they take something, like I've seen that practice where people get a body resonance where they hold a piece of food in front of them. And if they move forward, then it's a yes. And they move back, it's a no. So we all have this ability to get yes and no's. So with trusting the testing, I think that's definitely a big piece of this is trusting the accuracy of your testing and trusting yourself and the information that you're getting. Accurate testing is extremely important. And it's important to work with somebody who really, really desires to know the truth, right? So, I mean, I've had people that are like, test me for this. And it's like, there's out to like prove something, or they want to see that they're strong with everything. So intentions are key, and knowing that we're here to acknowledge the truth in what's coming forward. But yeah, I've had a lot of intuitive experiences and some medium experiences as well. I say some, but quite a few. For me, those things have just really come forward more the more I've sought out what's true and sought out my own healing in things. And just, it's the same thing of like, I want to hear this message. What's the truth about it? it's just, it's quite amazing where the truth will lead any of us.
Yeah. Sometimes to places that we don't want to look at, but it's in looking at them that we can move through them. And like you were saying earlier, just get to that other place where this new version of yourself emerges and you're like, oh, I didn't know life could feel this way.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So what about your healing mode method?
So I mean, it's this muscle testing practice, and the objective is to get the body in a healing mode. And I've worked with people, I've worked with animals. I've also done muscle testing for plants, which is really fascinating.
Wow.
I recently was a co-author in a book called Call of the Mystical Mountain, and I share a lot of my story in that. I'm one of 19 authors in it. So it's a really incredible book about Mount Shasta and the energies there. But yeah, the healing mode, I mean, it's just accessing that innate wisdom. And so like with testing, I'll stop at a cleanse, right? And I know you're in you have your own practice and you've been on this journey. And so I'd be curious to what comes forward for you on the other side of the cleanse. Sometimes more information will surface, or it's like while you're cleansing, you're just going to realize something about maybe something you've been holding on to or stretching yourself in a certain way, whether it's physically or metaphorically.
Yes. The body is saying
yes.
Yes. Yes. I'm also interested to know. I'm going to do it. And I really sometimes, like we were saying before, those little simple things. It seems so simple. It's like, oh yeah, of course I'm going to set an intention before bed. That's super easy. Like, how is that possibly going to make a difference? But it does. And our thoughts do create our reality. And I'm very interested to see if me setting that intention every night actually lets me just lie on a cloud in the middle of nowhere so I can sleep and not go on these crazy adventures.
I know it's helped me. It's helped me quite a bit of just like, I would have dreams too of doing healing work with people, and I would show up in their dreams and I'm like, you guys, I need to sleep. I can't. I just setting boundaries for myself. Like,
for real.
This is my time for restoration. But it can be a powerful time if you're motivated to get some work done as well.
No, I work enough in my waking at the moment, so I'm good. I think I like your idea of resting. I want to ask you about there's a question here about how do you help people that you work with uncover the root causes of their symptoms through this method? Because even though there are lots of layers, there's a root, right? Or what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So for me with the physical body, I like to see it as a seed. It's almost like there's a seed, right, that created the roots. And I have this trusting that we know things exactly when we need to know them. And so that was so interesting. My whole computer screen just flashed. So sometimes, okay, so the way I see it is a lot like the weather, right? There could be multiple factors here creating an experience of something. And what I truly believe is everything comes back to consciousness and a conscious choice. So I see the choice as the seed. And so when we get to the decision, right, that was made, which is majority of things come up through an emotional awareness, which it sounds like you even had today, right? Of maybe something you were buying into. Maybe it was true in a moment of something, but carrying it through the rest of your life, like it's not, you're ready to not be operating from that space. So, I would say usually, depending on the symptoms that I'm working with, My longest client has been 3 years, and really just like, I don't have sessions with her every month, but, for the most part, we've been pretty consistent working together and supporting her process in what these layers have been. But she's completely like reversed to, I guess we would call them diseases of Crohn's disease and an autoimmune condition. And to where she's just like has so much energy now. She feels great. She knows what foods her body wants and is just in a really healthy space. And the biggest thing is we just make sure everything electrically is strong. Because, sometimes we could do too much where it's like, we try to do all these different things, and it's like, it's actually just, maybe some things are resonating and others aren't, but how are we going to know too if we're trying all these different things at once?
So true. That was, they gave me some exercises for the shoulder at physical therapy. And man, I was doing those exercises like it's nobody's business. And I got to a point where it's like, okay, maybe it's possibly that I'm overdoing it, trying to fix it. There is a point where, okay, you're going too far. Like, let's take it back and do just enough, and then wait and listen, and then do a little more, and then wait and listen. But that takes longer.
Yeah. I guess it's a balance, right? Listening to our nature. And sometimes nature just moves a lot slower than our mind or our ego or our fear wants to move. And so it's one of those things too, where the question is, are you patient enough to allow yourself to receive what you know you deserve, if it's on its way to you?
I think, yeah, I'm willing to learn how to be patient, and that's, yeah.
Yeah.
Patience is, it's tough in today's world. Even just being comfortable with the silence, with the pause. Now here on the podcast, just using this as an example, like we stop talking and there's a pause, and not feeling like we need to fill that pause right away, because it's like, oh my God, it needs to be, and all the spaces need to be filled, but it's okay. Have space.
Yeah. It's a beautiful thing. I was having a conversation with somebody yesterday about like simplicity being such a luxury in life, and kind of just these ideas and these narratives that we've bought into, where we tell ourselves that we need to do to feel, whatever it is, fulfilled on some level. And I think simplicity is so underrated in so many ways of how to allow ourselves to feel. It's like allowing ourselves to feel things and not just having to, go a certain pace. That it's like nature's pace is so much slower than a lot of humanity. And I love that saying, that nature never rushes, but everything is accomplished.
That's a great quote. I remind myself of that often. So just yesterday, I was recording an interview, and I had I arrived 30 minutes early. I had 30 minutes, and I was, running to try and find something to do in those 30 minutes. I'm like, I have 30 minutes. I need to use it. How can I be productive and efficient in those 30 minutes? And my husband's like, why don't you just chill and just like be here with me? And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I guess I could do that.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Your husband said that. He's like, come hang out with me. Let's just be. I don't know if you've heard, I heard a coach once talk about, the masculine and the feminine. The masculine is the do. The feminine is the be. And when we like allow ourselves to have a balance, it's like this do be. like harmony.
Oh, I love
Yeah,
that.
I love it too. It feels really important. And you know, in many people that I've worked with that are, you know, they get sick or they get a cold or flu, oftentimes, you know, they're just not allowing themselves to take a break. And so their body's like, okay, I'm going to give you a break for you. You know, we get kind of forced into these spaces of like, I need you to relax, right? And I think too, it's like the way the universe works is it's orchestrating this dance to like bring things to us. And sometimes like just getting in that, whatever that rhythm is, just feels so powerful to just, if it's like, hey, hold up. Or, you know, I don't know if you've ever had experience where you think you're going to be late to something and then 5 things happen to even slow you down even more. And by the time you arrive to the thing, it's like, oh, like I'm not late at all. I'm right on time. So it's like these stories we tell ourselves.
Yep. I've been there. Mm-hmm. So what does all this have to do with retreats? How does this play out?
That's a great question. So I have an upcoming retreat in Joshua Tree. It starts on the spring equinox. It's actually a cleansing retreat. So I'm, you know, it's interesting. Some of the feedback I've received is that some people really want to come to the retreat, but they're not so excited about the cleansing portion. So I may make that an option, where we just eat whole, you know, plant-based meals, and those that want to cleanse, but I'll give them all of the information on how to do a proper cleanse. So yeah. So
I think people, you know, often they may act that way initially out of fear, but then when they are in the environment with the group and they see everyone else cleansing, it's just natural to be like, okay, I guess I'll do it too.
I think so. It's really fascinating when cleansing comes up, and I guess this is something you should know. You know, I've had people have great success. They follow through, they do the thing. Because what we just did is we just asked your body what it wanted. And I've had other people not do it. And I remember at the time I was giving like these little mini free testings for people at a large event. And I tested this one guy, and he tested out on a 4-day cleanse. It was pretty significant. And so I wrote up his whole cleanse for him, and I asked his body, like, how soon his body wanted to do it in the next, you know, however many days. And he definitely wanted to start it this next week. And I saw him about a month later, and I was like, hey, how did your cleanse go? And he was like, I didn't do it. And I ended up in the hospital with mercury poisoning. And I was like, wow, like, who would have thought that that would have been what your body wanted to cleanse, but it was ready to, because it came up. So the body will always it's going to do its best to take care of itself. Right. So I've seen like cleanses come up and people are like, yeah, I don't know. Like they do part of it. And it's just like, there's still like something lingering with them from it. So this cleansing is so powerful.
This is another one of those synchronicities, because I mean, just before signing on to chat with you, I was on Instagram, you know, I was doing a little scroll. I was doing a little stroll in the scroll world, and I saw this video of that I had seen before from different doctors that talk about how when the body is hungry and it has no food in the belly, it starts to eat itself. And it might not feel very pleasant in the moment because, you know, it's signaling to your brain, hey, I'm hungry, let's eat something. But when it starts to eat itself, it starts to eat all of the bad things. It starts to eat all of cancer cells. Well, I think you have to get to like 16 or 18 hours of a fasting before you get to eating cancer cells. But it starts eating all of the junk that the body wants to get rid of. And that's amazing. Like that's an amazing self-cleansing mechanism that there's not a lot of education as a social whole around, fasting in that way.
Yeah.
Or for that purpose. It's usually for, when in the past, when I've heard about spiritual fasting, it's been because you have a prayer and you want it to come true. So you fast, but it's never about cleansing,
Yeah. Yeah. Our body is so incredible. It's so amazing. It knows exactly what it needs to do to heal, to repair itself. It's like we have this self-generating system. And when we get the stuff out of the way that it just doesn't serve it, man, do we need less sleep, where we have so much more energy. Our flexibility and our body is just so much easier to move around. Our mental clarity, it's like all of the things, people's intuition naturally just opens up, and receiving, divine information, divine guidance, like just being really clear is what I feel like nurturing our body temple is all about. And I think the biggest thing is getting the mind out of the way and thinking it knows what it needs, rather than just listening and using our ears and our eyes and our what we're feeling. Just asking it, hey body, what do you need? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you think about food, like, sorry, do you think about food and people eating where it's like, I'm thinking about when we're looking at a menu and it's like, I'll have this. And it's like, who is the I that's talking, and what's the intention behind the decisions of what you're putting into your body?
There's been times where I'm looking at a menu and my taste buds or who knows, I don't know who that I is sometimes. It's like, oh yeah, that big fat juicy whatever it is looks really good, and those greasy crunchy things too. And then my stomach is like, no, it don't. Like, I don't think we want that. Don't put that in here, And then so there's this battle of when you really listen to your body, your mind's like, oh my God, that looks gluttonous, or that looks like so savory and delicious. And then your body's like, please be kind to me. I need something light and fresh and green and that's what goes on in my body, my mind.
Yeah, that sounds familiar. I can relate. I can definitely relate. And, it's so fascinating when we're willing to be honest with ourselves of, okay, well, what voice is what? And we know. This was reminding me of something, just like kind of going back to the healing mode. Whereas, if somebody has, something, whether it's a symptom, some sort of symptom, is that you can actually muscle test to that symptom what will make it strong, as far as food, exercise. You can ask any questions to these parts of ourselves. When you were talking, I was hearing like, my stomach has an opinion, your pancreas has another one, your heart saying something.
Yeah, it's a chorus in there. Yeah, for sure.
So it's like, how do we harmonize the whole system? That's going to be best for everyone. All parts involved.
Yes. I want to know more about your retreats. I know you said you do cleansing, but what is spending? How many days is it? 5 days?
Yeah.
3 days?
So I mean, I guess it would be 5 in total, including the days you travel and check in. For first day check-ins at 4 p.m. and then it'll be 4 nights. And then the 5th day is a checkout at 11. But so yeah, we have every evening we'll do an evening sound bath. My greatest intention is to get everyone in a healing mode when they leave. Every day we'll check in, but being in a healing mode, and then really to just deepen in the experience of living from the parasympathetic nervous system and that state of restoration, that state of calmness You know, they've done a bunch of studies now about people, people just having full engagement or full awareness, and that the most relaxed they are, the more clear thinking they are, the more they're able to make better decisions for themselves and the whole. So yeah, so I do evening sound baths and morning ceremonies. And the morning ceremonies are more of we'll do some physical movement, some energy medicine, some stretching, just to get everything moving and flowing. And then we go into kind of like a workshop of inner experiences. I like to bring in the ancestors. Somebody's not familiar with working with their ancestors, it can be really powerful. And even if you are, our ancestors have such profound assistance that's available to us. Like if you think about how much love it took in your lineage for you to get here, right? Like there's so much support that's available to us, as well as releasing these things that a lot of us that have kind of, like, I guess we woke up to healing, right? With nature and with our nature, that some of us have kind of bought into this idea that we need to carry, or we're here to heal our lineage. And, you know, there's things in our bloodline that we have to take responsible for. And something that really shifted from me was I was working with this shaman this last year and a half. And what I learned was this technique of giving all of the things that my ancestors were responsible for back to them to take responsibility for, and releasing that over responsibility. So, as of right now, I incorporate ancestry work into all of my retreats. Just so amazing to be able to feel like the love and support that is here for us, in a multidimensional way. And then, my biggest thing too is at the beginning of my retreats, I like everybody to tune into what soul qualities they're desiring to embody more of. And what's important to me at my retreats is that everybody feels comfortable being themselves, right? Is the more authentic we can be with one another, the more we can just share and be open to what is coming up and what is present. A lot of like how things flow, I like it to be an intuitive flow. So like I have these structures of places, and when we're in Joshua Tree, we'll go into the national park. There's a couple different areas I like to go to, and we'll do some like intuitive exploration. But it's interesting because there's times when things come up for people, and it could be the most random thing that triggered it. So I just like to be present as much as possible with the group and the experience that we're all having together. I feel like I've been so blessed with the retreats that I've been able to facilitate in the past, and the connections that have been made. Everyone, so many of everybody that has come, like, still keeps in contact. And I really feel like it's just such a life-changing experience too. And also for many people to be seen and to be heard for like the first times in their lives, in these areas of their life that they're just done. They're done with. They don't want to, like, and I think a lot of people know that, like, they're like, there's this heaviness that I've been carrying and I'm done with it, and I want to let it go. And whether it's just a sensation like that, or it's an actual physical ailment. So if I answered your question.
That sounds like a lot of fun. Yeah, you did. I'm just soaking it up. It sounds like something I'd really be into. And I like how you create all those different spaces to just tune in. And it sounds like an opportunity to really connect, but connect with yourself and within and with each other. Like there's so much connection in what you just shared, but it's very deep and intentional. So I like that.
Yeah.
And I also like what you said about not needing to be the person that saves your bloodline, because it does feel like a, and going back to, like, I was thinking about the cleansing, cleansing the lymph nodes, cleansing your colon, like they're all lines of some sort. And this is just like the ancestral line that needs to be cleaned, but everyone needs to clean their part. That makes sense.
Yeah. And prayer is one of the most powerful things for those that are on the other side. So we're the other side of this dimension. Our consciousness is such an incredible gift that we get to use here in intentional ways. And something I'm currently working on. I'm in the middle of developing it. So hopefully it'll be out soon. I have some trainings in self-muscle testing. I also have a training that is going to take a little bit longer, but it's a practitioner training for anybody that wants to learn this practice as well. So I see myself doing some training retreats in the future. But yeah, in Joshua Tree, we're going to have a pool and a sauna, and I think there's a little game room as well. Some of the exercises I'll be doing, just working with our inner child and our higher self, right? It's just like the trinity of things, of ourself. When what I've found too is when all parts of ourselves are in alignment with what we're doing in life, it just makes everything so much more fun and enjoyable. Yeah.
This conversation has made me realize that I still know nothing. There are still so many other layers and levels and dimension and aspects of this thing called life. It's kind of hard to focus on all of them, but it's exciting because it's a constant exploration.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I only know some things, so I appreciate that. And the biggest thing that's guided me is just my curiosity. Like, what is this?
Yeah, that's it. So Tawni, what is one final piece of advice as we close here that you would give to anyone seeking to reclaim wellness as their birthright?
Yeah. My greatest advice to you is continue to seek the truth, even if it's uncomfortable. Don't avoid it. And whatever the message is, it's going to be uplifting when you accept it. Don't give up, because it's available to you. And if you're frustrated, I mean, I'm here, Krystal's here. There's so many people that you could reach out to for support. So don't be afraid to get help, just to get that clarity if you need clarity. There's no reason that we need to be confused about things. So if your mind is getting in the way, it's okay to get some help.
I like that. Thank you so much for being here and this really beautiful chat. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me here. And thank you to all the listeners that have been listening to our conversation. I hope that you got something uplifting out of this.
Yes. Thank you, bye.
Bye.